Good morning, fam. A little bit early today on Stressless Saturday. I'll be on the road at that time, so I wanted to get in nice and early. So hopefully, when you guys wake up and get up, you have some content to watch and read and enjoy your weekend, and hopefully overcome a challenge that I could save you from immediately. So today's challenge is going to be overcoming fitness plateaus. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but I just wanted to get into depth. It's not just about weight training; it's more about the details behind it are more. If you're doing a marathon running, if you're doing some sort of Olympic sport or athletic sports, or soccer or basketball, whatever it may be, netball, this just enables you to push past those fitness barriers. So increasing your stamina, increasing your endurance, and more importantly, it could also be applied to the gym. Obviously, your weight resistance training, so strength and even fat loss, improving or increasing your metabolic rate. So first and foremost, the challenge itself is obviously you're going to start doing the same movement over and over again, the same exercise, the same workouts over and over again, and your body's going to get used to it, right? So once you get used to it, your results are going to differ, and your results are going to stop dropping or based. Your results aren't going to be changing at such a rapid, such noticeably time period. So in a week, you might lose 2 or 3 kilos on the first week. Second week, you'll probably lose about 1.7 to 2 kilos. The third week, you'll lose about half a kilo because your body's adapting to that training method. On the flip side, if you're gaining strength, right, if you're pushing past your barrier, you're going to be doing short amounts of reps, and you're going to be, the first week you might think that you gained a little bit of muscle. The week after you might gain a little bit more, and then a month or 2 months into it, 3 months into it, your muscle growth is going to slow down. The reason for that is because your body adapts, like I said earlier, to the movement and to the workout in itself. So obviously it knows that you're going to start doing lat pull downs. It knows you're going to start, secondly, you might do chin ups. Thirdly, you might do, low row, and then lastly, deadlifts, whatever it may be. So your body adapts to those sort of movements and to the way that you're stressing the muscle. So how do we overcome these things, right? So the quickest and easiest way is to introduce new fitness protocols. Now, this is across the board. So time and attention could be for your soccer skills, If you're doing that hit burst agility style training, you could just introduce some time and attention on that. Instead of hit bursting for probably 45 seconds at a time, you might hit burst for 50, or you might hit burst. You might introduce some resistance, like add some weights, hold some kettlebells, or whatever it may be. I have a specific soccer training regime that it's basically 2 days a week hit, burst, Tabata style agility movements. And so what we do to introduce new fitness protocols is, instead of doing the burst, just free weight, we try and introduce some resistance by holding kettlebells or, holding dumbbells or whatever it may be, just to resist, because the body's going to be using different muscles to make sure that the kettlebells are obviously you're holding them and that you're heavier. Secondly to that, you could introduce a new technique. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard drop sets, giant sets, and supersets. I've talked about that before. So a drop set is where you just drop the weight and you keep going till failure. You might drop the weight again and do a certain amount of repetitions on any sort of weight. So you drop the weight once yet again, and you just keep dropping. You could have 1 to 2 to 3 drop sets, or you could just completely exhaust the muscle, and that is for complete exhaustion of the muscle. So just wait for the plate to go past. And that's, like I said, that's complete exhaustion of the muscle. Thirdly, you could switch your exercises around. Like, if you, as I mentioned earlier, if you start with like lat pull down, then you go into a low row, then you go into hyperextensions, and you might go into a deadlift. If you just switch the workout like a complete 180, if you start with deadlifts and then go into hyperextensions, then go to low row, then lat pull down, that will enable your body to it'll give you instant results, right? Even though you're doing the same exercises, you're changing the way the workout is structured, and therefore you're utilizing muscles that you wouldn't utilize at the beginning of the workout So it shocks the body, and it's part of the UST for me, ultimate shock training. So it's a great way to not only, because that way you don't have to remember a whole set of exercises, and you can just continue straight into having one workout for a prolonged period for like 4 to 6 to 8 weeks before having to necessarily change it up completely. So that's the third one, guys. The fourth one is changing into unilateral exercises. So what that means is, normally you would push with both of your hands if you're doing some sort of a push movement. This time you're only going to push with one hand at a time, or 1 foot. It's basically for half of your body, not both sides of your body. So unilateral means you're pulling or you're pushing with one side of your body. Same thing with your legs. You're pulling or you're pushing with one leg only or arm. So what that does is enables you to actually focus more on isolating that muscle, and it just changes things up, right? It gives your body a chance to work on its balancing, so the muscle balances and your biometrics. So, your muscle mechanics. And so, yeah, it's a great way that I introduced that. I might do like just a unilateral drop set at the end of each workout, purely from sheer fact that I just want to just completely exhaust the muscle and make sure that, my muscle to mind connection is the right one, and that's the one that I'm exhausting. Also, guys, one more thing I noticed is you could change between pin loaded and free weights, or vice versa. So pin loaded would be switching those machines that you use pins to control the weight or the resistance, and you could switch to free weights or barbell movements, and switching between those will give you a great alternative to some exercises and just change things up. And that's ultimately what your body's looking for, right? It's adapted to the way that you currently train, and it's adapted to the way that you're currently functioning. So changing those things up will enable massive results. Have a good weekend, guys. I'm in a bit of a rush today, so I hope that content was epic. That's the first under 10-minute live that I've done in a while. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great holidays, and we will see you next week. And jump on the Instagram pages. We're going to be doing some funny lives over Christmas. Catch you later.